Hi guys, good afternoon. Great to be here. My name is Alex Fine. I just recently joined Virtuozzo, but been in this business for quite some time. Originally in Parallel's time. It's great to be here at CloudFest. We've been in this event for many years, and our journey is always in the same line with the CloudFest and World Hosting Days. So I would love to share with you a bit today about our strategic roadmap, in particular about our hyper-converged infrastructure solution that we just recently released. And first, let me start with a brief introduction of what we are, for those who are not familiar with Virtuozzo, hopefully not so many. We've been 19 years in business. We started in the year 2000, and we started with our container virtualization technology that became quite instrumental for the industry, and that was powering quite a few physical servers, providing millions of virtual machines and containers worldwide. Over the years, we introduced hypervisor technology and then software-defined storage. Finally, indeed, it is enriched by software-defined network, and together it creates our new solution that we're going to talk about. We have about 100 patents, so it's a really hardcore software business. It's about 120 people. Of them, most is developers. We have some of the greatest talents in the industry. And the team is pretty nimble and lean, so we are managing quite closely our partnerships. And we have about 450 partners worldwide, including all the biggest hosting providers. So if we're talking about what Virtuozzo is doing, what we're enabling, why we're here, the number one use case is basically VPS hosting. That's been core business for many of you for many years. So we've been powering this also for pretty much all our time in existence. By today, there is about 1 million containers and virtual machines running on Virtuozzo. The three other items: storage as a service, hosted managed private cloud, and virtual private cloud. These are some of the new use cases that we started powering as of end of last year. And this is what we're going to spend the remaining time today. So we looked at the market when we realized that the container business is not developing as fast as it used to. So we looked at the broader picture at the private cloud market. This is analysis from Forrester that you can see on the screen that is showing quite significant growth. And in 2019, the market should reach about $20 billion. And of this market, the most interesting segment for us is the top one that you can see, the blue bar, that is reaching $8.7 billion this year. That is hosted private cloud. So that is really a segment that we are going to power with our service provider partners like yourselves. And in a nutshell, it is very simple. It is a private cloud powered by service provider, running either on the service provider premises or enterprise. It can be single tenant, it can be multi-tenant, but the story is very simple. So service provider is in charge of private cloud provided to its customer, that is enterprise. So we started talking with our partners, service providers. As I mentioned, we have 450 customers, including all the biggest service providers in the world, and we started listening what they think about the industry, how they're aiming to enter issues. So the few main challenges that they identified for us were the following. Number one, the solution that are based on third-party vendors, on the commercial vendors, like VMware, would be typically pretty expensive and pretty cumbersome to manage. On the other side, solution based on open source would be, on the surface, free, but in reality, it would be quite difficult to develop end-to-end solution and maintain and manage, and it is not free, as all of you know. So it's a certain challenge that some people would accept, and many would prefer to deal with the end-to-end commercial vendor. And finally, from the other side, from competition, the competition came from hyperscalers, as all of you know. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but this is definitely a challenge. So how would you face Google and Amazon and Azure of the world with their solution? So we came up with our solution that is called Virtuozzo Infrastructure Platform. That is end-to-end hyper-converged infrastructure solution combining 5 main elements: high-performance compute, software-defined storage, virtual networking, management with advanced monitoring, and finally multi-tenancy and self-service. So let me unpack a bit what is inside, what is under the hood. In terms of high-performance compute, it is based on our virtualization on our own hypervisor that is developed based on KVM. With this, we enable lots of enterprise-grade features like live migration to migrate the workflows, the VMs between the servers without downtime, like high availability to protect you against hardware failures, and flexible storage policies to let you cater for different criticality of your data that your VMs are serving. By the way, the 4 points here, it's not the entire feature set. Obviously, we are just talking about some main things that are worth mentioning here. So the product is pretty comprehensive, obviously. The next component is software-defined storage that we actually first released in the market 8 years ago. So it is, by today, it is quite mature technology that is having adoption of more than 100 petabytes of data running in the data centers worldwide. We support all the major protocols in storage: file, block, and object. We support iSCSI, so the solution can be used with the third-party applications. And we support S3 protocol for object storage. In terms of redundancy of data, we provide 2 main technologies: replication and erasure coding. So for any sort of performance needs that you need, for hot data and for cold data, you have the right setup that will provide you with the right performance and with the right cost efficiency. In terms of software-defined networking, we support VXLAN encapsulation that lets you create millions of isolated networks and integrate with hyperscalers. So in the end, you know, as we see, many of our partners are jumping in the hybrid cloud game. That is the right thing to do. So it's not in isolation, it's not only competition, it's also cooperation sometimes with the hyperscalers. We also enable distributed switching to let you manage the virtual switches for all your physical servers in one place with one click, and virtual routing for your virtual machines to access internet. In terms of management, we have a single web-based UI that lets you manage all the components of the solution from one place. It is really simple to use, very easy to master. We are providing support for OpenStack APIs to integrate with the whatever third-party components you want to use our platform with, most likely billing. We provide support for the most advanced monitoring tools from Prometheus and Grafana. And finally, there is an important component that is part of the solution. It's our technology called Ready Kernel that is letting you apply patches provided by Virtuozzo without reboot. And finally, the last major piece for every service provider, but not only for enterprises too, is multi-tenancy and self-service. So without this, you don't have scalable solution. So you would need to deploy single tenant solution for each of your customers. That is not viable. So the multi-tenancy and service providers are there, and it also relies on our expertise with service provider community. So we support isolated tenants with their guaranteed resources. You will be able to provide access to your end customers to self-service panel. And then you can also integrate it with the custom service portals using our APIs and provide private networks to the customers. So all in all, these 5 components are creating the end-to-end solution that we are very happy to show you at our booth. So now back to the use cases. The three main use cases that I would outline that are super relevant for service providers, and we are having already quite a few conversations, and some of the customers are already deploying the platform and going live. So the use case number one, very simple, it's a hosted private cloud, hosted whether on your premises, a service provider, on enterprise premises, managed normally by you. So it is single setup per customer, single tenancy, very simple. So the second one is virtual private cloud, one large setup based on Virtuozzo Infrastructure Platform that is catering for multiple customers. It is hosted and operated by service provider, and enterprise customers are having access to their tenant. And finally, storage as a service. That is a use case to provide cloud storage and file sharing services based on S3 or otherwise. That is pretty exciting use case as well. And at this, I would love to invite to the scene my friend, Jason Frisch, director of Rushfiles. He's our successful partner with the Virtuozzo Infrastructure Platform. He's been with us for many years. So, Jason, how are you? Why would you share with us how was your journey and your life with Virtuozzo, and why you decided to go with the Virtuozzo with Rushfiles?
Thank you, Alex. So I myself actually started a web hosting business in Japan 20 years ago, where I live with my family. And 16, 17 years ago, we started the first VPS service in Japan, actually, and it was completely based on Virtuozzo. And now with Rushfiles, it's a secure business file sharing platform, primarily sold through partners, and came to market on 2012. And recently, I invested and became a director.
It's a good choice. So, as I understand, when you joined Rushfiles, one of the first things that you did, you basically applied your expertise and you started looking at the backyard, at the infrastructure. So what did you find there?
So when I started to investigate the infrastructure with our future growth projections taken into account, I soon learned that there were some significant bottlenecks, significant scalability issues, and we weren't able to add any additional storage without significant additional investment. We were starting to come across some performance bottlenecks, and as we're trying to solve these bottlenecks, we realized that the current platform that we're using was actually quite complex and difficult to make any changes, and often it required bringing in people with the specific technical needs, which end up being quite expensive as well. And even as we're doing this, we really couldn't see what was going on in the underlying infrastructure. And talking to our vendor at the time, well, to be honest, they were actually quite inefficient and very difficult to get any sort of information from these guys.
Okay, so challenging situation. So how did you end up with the choosing Virtuozzo Infrastructure Platform? Why?
So when we implemented Virtuozzo, we were able to get a fully redundant platform. We were able to increase our performance across the board, storage, the storage, the networking, and the hypervisor as well. We were able to now, with our additional hardware investment, we were able to 100% utilize the available resources. And as Virtuozzo did the deployment of the platform on the hardware, they provided a few hours of technical training. And now Rushfiles, as a software developer, they're able to fully manage the platform themselves without any additional admin resources at all. And with all that, we're still able to lower the total cost of ownership of our underlying infrastructure.
That sounds great. I must say that Jason, as some of you may know, he's a pretty demanding partner. So to make him happy, that's a challenging task that we can be proud of.
This
So, so Jason, what is, how is it, tell us a bit about your partnership with Virtuozzo. So why do you work with us? What was your experience and your continuing developing relationship? So what is in there?
So two things, trust and a long-term partnership. Virtuozzo is an extremely stable, flexible, and easy to manage solution. We bought into the Virtuozzo vision that resonated with Rushfiles' needs. With Virtuozzo, we're now able to provide our partners with a more superior service. And in the end of the day, that allows them to generate more business.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks a lot. So I'm confident that with Virtuozzo Infrastructure Platform, your business definitely will jump to the next level. You shared with me some growth projections that I would love to multiply by 3 at least. I mean, they're pretty aggressive, but
as an investor, I plan to as well.
I'm sure. So thank you, everyone. I wanted to invite all of you to come to our booth. It's a G31 to see the solution live. So there is a live demo that our great sales engineers can show and discuss what you're doing, why, and if we can help you. Somehow, we are also having Cloud Challenge game at our booth, and there will be winners announcement at 4 p.m. today. With this, thank you very much. Let's wrap up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Jason.